And we start off the third and final hour with a dear, dear friend, a great, 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 great guest. And I'm going to make a prediction here, Bernard. You ready?
Another one.
Another one. I'm going to say that she's in line with Pirro, that she loves...
No.
No?
Hell no. Are you
Hell
kidding me?
no. No way.
She was probably shedding a tear, our friend Ann Coulter.
Like Chuck Schumer?
Who, by the way, will be tonight at the Women's National Republican Club, which I believe, Ann, is up at Rockefeller Center, correct?
Yes, it is.
And you're doing a book signing, Adios America, and what time is this?
6 to 8. I do a little speech, and then we do a book. I take questions. That's my favorite.
And it's open to the public.
Yes, though I hate to say this since I've been asking you to hawk this all this time. I think it may be sold out. Go to my webpage and call or email.
Okay. All right. Check that out. Standing room only for Ann Coulter. So, yes, let's follow up on Sid's prediction. Ann Coulter, your thoughts on Donald Trump on primetime TV last night rolling out his Supreme Court nominee.
I was very happy. I had looked up the judges he announced, and that was a great thing for him to do. I mean, he's right. This is the most transparent it's ever been. He announced that he would pick his Supreme Court justice when he was running from a list of names of about a dozen impressive judges, all of them. And so at the time, or at least after the election, I looked them all up and picked only two. One of them was Gorsuch. So I remember I was happy about it, definitely very impressive credentials. And it occurred to me last night, I don't know if you recall, but I had been, in fact, a lonely voice in the woods against Harriet Miers. And looking at Gorsuch last night and his wife, it sort of made the point of why it is a particular personality type for Supreme Court justice. This isn't, an ambassadorship. You're not supposed to be a glad-hander or it doesn't matter that you have a charming personality. You have to be a nerd. And you can see, looking at this guy, I mean, he and his wife, they're lovely. But you can see he's a nerd, and that's what you want on the Supreme Court. You're sitting, reading through opinions, and I mean, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I thought he said a great thing last night, which was, if you are happy with all of your decisions as a judge, you're not being a good judge because you're interpreting the law.
He actually said you're a bad judge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I can't think of an opinion that, for example, Ruth Bader Ginsburg would be unhappy with, or even Justice Breyer. No, they decide what they'd like the law to be, and then announce, oh, that's what the Constitution commands. Unfortunately, unfortunately for a particular reason, conservative judges aren't like that. Whenever they talk about, and keep this in mind, when they talk about, extreme conservatism, all that means is allowing democracy to decide the most important issues and not, miraculously discovering rights in the Constitution that don't exist there. Because for most, we do live in a democratic republic, and part of what gives us so much freedom, it's a genius aspect of our freedom, is that if you don't like the laws of a particular state, you can move. I mean, you see that happening. Bernie knows this. I think Florida is picking up about 1,000 people a day. No, 5,000 a day. 5,000 a day. If you've been to upstate New York, it's just emptying out because people don't like the tax laws. And that's just one law. Abortion laws, transgender bathroom laws, whatever the laws are. You move to the town, the state that has the complex of laws you like, but not for the left. No, we're just going to discover a right to abortion and gay marriage and all these things we can't get people to vote for in democracy.
Let me ask you the same question I asked Janine this morning, Ann, and that is, there's going to be brushed back, obviously. Schumer's on record saying, listen, he's not going to get one Democrat to vote for this. This guy's not getting through. We know that's nonsense. This guy is getting through. But with that said, he seems like a good man. He's a beautiful wife. He served for a very, very long time. Doesn't seem to be a blemish on this guy's record. So with that said, how deep will the Dems dig and how ugly will they get to try to make this guy look like a bad guy?
Well, I think this is going to be a trial run for the next one, because it is true, and maybe these will be famous last words, but for one thing, he's replacing Scalia. He's not replacing Ruth Bader Ginsburg. When either one of the liberals on the court, if they retire, and I think one of them will, or
or expire, retire or expire, we can say it.
Right.
Will not
you can
be
say it
available
too.
to serve. When one of them are being replaced, that is going to be World War III. That's going to be like something we've never seen before.
That's where they'll fight.
And also, it's a majority Republican Congress right now. I mean, the odds are Republicans lose seats in the midterm elections. So if it happens 3 years from now, it'll be worse. But it is true. I mean, I tweeted out because I was looking at this lovely couple last night, and hardworking, and have if anyone deserves such a position, it would be.
Let me give you one follow-up quickly, and then on what you just said about how when Ginsburg, one of the other folks leave or die, they got to be replaced. Do you think at that point that Donald Trump will try to meet somewhere down the middle and make the left happy, or will he be like, you know what, hey, this is how I feel, I want conservative judges on the court? What route do you think he'll go when, in fact, we get to that day?
Oh, good grief! It's never been done that way. No. His voters would lynch him. I mean, justice. In fact, it's always liberals who first break the rules. In fact, the tradition is if you were nominated by a Republican, you wait for a Republican to be president to retire. So, for example, Justice Byron White, who was put on the Supreme Court by Kennedy, he waited for a Democrat to be president, even though he was one of the conservative justices, because the Democratic Party had changed so much. It wasn't really the party of JFK anymore. It became, this crazed lifestyle party all about abortion and gay marriage. But still, the honorable thing to do is, if you're doing it voluntarily, to wait until a Democrat is president if you were nominated by a Democrat. The liberals don't do that. No. Oh, no. Who was it? Was it Souter who retired the voluntary retirement?
Yeah, it was Souter.
Okay,
and then you had Kagan come in and...
the appropriate thing, if Souter had any honor whatsoever, what you're supposed to do is wait for, you were nominated by a Republican, you're put on the court by, you wait for a Republican, so they don't do that.
No.
And no. And I would also say, again, you have to remember, when they talk about crazed right-wing justices, this will not be justices doing the equivalent of what the left does, and that is gazing at the Constitution and discovering, oh my gosh, there's a right to a flat tax. There's a right to school choice. There's a right to, reform entitlements. No. Most important decisions are decided through a process known as democracy. You vote. The problem has been the left couldn't get a majority of Americans to vote for their crazy lifestyle ideas, and that's why they start hallucinating when they read the Constitution.
All right, so here Sid alluded to it, and you did the predictable hand-wringing and hysteria on the left. He's going to be confirmed. Now, going forward, this is what
be ugly. They will lie about him. That's what I was
of course
say.
they
I was
will.
looking at this lovely couple, thinking, "Wow,
they're going to
about to be defamed," or maybe Democrats will be smart and make it look like, since they're going to lose anyway, look reasonable on this one, so that their horror over the next one will seem more believable.
And they're going to point to his opinion on the Little Sisters of the Poor, the Hobby Lobby thing, where they won't force employers to pay for their employees contraception or abortions, and they're going to say this is the agenda that Donald Trump and they're going to take away the woman's right to an abortion. That's essentially what they're going to, they're going to hang their hats on.
Right.
Is that what Trump and you do you think that this is that they'll ever overturn Roe versus Wade? Is this the goal of Donald Trump?
Well, that isn't a big issue for Trump. A big issue for Trump is bringing jobs back and blocking this dump of the third world on the country, and stopping terrorist attacks, keeping us safe. But I do hope. I don't know. I do hope they overrule Roe v. Wade, and this is a perfect example of what I'm saying. That doesn't make abortion illegal. All it does is allow people to vote. People have been. It's not as if any conservative justice is going to find a right to life in the Constitution. All they're going to say is, I didn't drop LSD before reading the Constitution, and having perused it, I see there is absolutely nothing about abortion in this document. There are a few. What the Constitution does is it sets up, the rules for running the government, number one. Number two, the Bill of Rights provides just a few specified rights, the right to bear arms, for example, and the Little Sisters of the Poor, the right to not have the practice of your religion infringed on. Those are constitutional protections, at least by the federal government. Constitutional protections, those will say that some laws are not permissible if the Constitution forbids it. But other than that, by and large, it's up to you, America. Vote on it. And I promise you, one thing I can absolutely assure you, in the states of, California, New York, Illinois, and, who knows, a dozen other states,
it will be legal.
Abortion will never be illegal.
So that's essentially it. First of all, we're a long way off from even overturning Roe v. Wade. But if it was, you're saying it goes back to the states, and then in states like New York, all these liberal states, you can get an abortion, and women could actually travel there from, say, Wyoming, if indeed that conservative state says we don't want abortion. So
right, and probably a lot of states, I will bet you the majority of states, it will be allowed in some circumstances, but not the really gruesome procedures. There will be things like parental notification laws. There will be simple little restrictions, but it'll be up to the people. It'll be up to you, and if you don't like that law, you can go and persuade your fellow voters, but it'll be done democratically. And by the way, it may not be done for a long time. But I'm just saying it's not D-Day, it's Dunkirk.
Okay. And Coulter joining us now.
Good reference.
That is very
probably
good.
3% of our audience got, but an excellent reference.
Well, Andy's got the book signing tonight is Rockefeller Center. Where is it exactly again, B? Where's
it's
that?
3 West 51st, but definitely call or email first because thank you very much for promoting it. But someone just emailed me, one of my friends, saying, "Hey, I can't get in. It's sold out, so it may be."
That's nice. I did 16 book signings. I didn't sell any of them out, so that's great.
The Women's National Republican Club. Yes, check that out.
Congratulations. All right, so Ann, this band that Donald Trump has put together, very un-American. I know you agree.
I happen to be writing about that this week. That's why I really haven't paid that much attention to Gorsuch, other than noticing that he's a very impressive judge, and I'm happy with him. No, everything you have heard about the alleged ban is a lie. It's not a ban. It's a 4-month pause. It's 7 countries. 7 countries. Muslim is never used in the executive order. It's 7 countries that have been on the State Department, countries of particular concern list forever. Obama did something similar with the same alleged refugees. The alleged refugees aren't exactly fleeing the Holocaust. They're generally coming here to collect Social Security. And the idea is we need a few months to put in better vetting procedures. But the overall point I'd make is, forget about the terrorism aspect of this. We have Republicans and Democrats, constantly telling us, and proudly, that they're going to reform entitlements, and we're going to have to raise the retirement age for Social Security and Medicare, or cut back on benefits. And it's always, Americans having to give up things they've paid into. Well, I know. How about stop dumping millions of poverty-stricken, elderly, and sickly people on the country? It's not enough. It seems to me, when we're in a seller's market, to say, no, we must let in these million people because we don't think they're going to be terrorists. I wanted a higher standard than that.
There's so many levels to it. That's one right there. We don't have the money for it. If you want to pay for grandma's hip, you can't be, like you said, having these indigent people float in here. And then there's the other, there's the terrorism aspect. And the other aspect is that we don't want to become like Europe with these, Sweden and Germany and Paris and et cetera, et cetera. Those things all combine to make this a common sense executive order.
Yes, it's interesting traveling around how wildly popular this order is, and particularly I've noticed with immigrants who are here. As I pointed out before, they went to a lot of trouble to immigrate to America. They did not decide to immigrate to Syria, to Yemen, to Mexico, or Guatemala. They want to live in America. And I suppose they're not worried about being called white nationalists if they're Hispanic or Chinese immigrants.
Right.
But they're wildly popular. I mean, openly, vocally. So no, of course, it's a reasonable and prudent and quite minor measure. I'd also add, the hysteria from like the New York Times and Washington Post about how, why these 7 countries? We notice none of these countries are places where Donald Trump does business. Point one, wasn't really expecting a Trump golf course in Yemen. But moreover, okay, you want to add countries to the list? I'm fine with that.
Yeah. That's it. They want it expanded, and then they'll be satisfied. But I don't know. They don't make any sense. They're not consistent. Listen, Ann Coulter, we're out of time. Women's National Republican Club book signing tonight, West 51st Street. Check it out first before you go because it's maybe sold out. But listen, good luck tonight, and thank you, Ann.
Always a great job, Ann. Thank you. Great job.
Good to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Always
Take care.
a pleasure. We'll see you soon on the Bernie and Sid Show. We're back after this.